This is part 2. Well, actually, you saw part like 20, and this is part 21 or something of the tournament. We got Spiderweb, fully known as jonathanxspidewebia, and we got kzez, and you can follow those runners through that link in chat. Hopefully I got the names right. There's no R in Spiderweb, there's no H in Jonathan. Okay, we're starting up here.
As Jonathan's timer catches up, seconds, we're good to go.
So what do you have their timers at?
About 45 seconds, 46, 47.
Oh, I'm so far behind.
kzez's timer fell a little far behind there, and it does look like Jonathan just fell in.
Wow, and then I hit next and it jumped ahead like 30 seconds. Need the timer again? Alright. Thank you so much for that. And then I closed it. Oh my god, that's not the resize button, that's the close button.
Oh,
What is the matter with me?
kzez is in the boss quarter. He's walking into Gutsman's room right now. You see that works out as Jonathan tries to catch up after taking that unfortunate death to one of the Hammer brothers. Pair of Guts first in this matchup, actually. Usually seeing at least one person decide to go cut first in all these races. I also get the sinking suspicion that it's almost always with the runner I put on the red side of the screen that jumps out to a lead.
Well, it's further to the right, so it's further ahead. That makes sense.
It's been holding right for longer.
Yeah.
I know it only says mythical. I want to kind of hang back on this one.
Yeah, he's covering for me while I get it set up at the beginning here.
Yep.
So we had, we got Gutsman first. We've seen Cut first quite a bit in this tournament. But Guts first is definitely a very, very solid option.
Jonathan's having Gutsman's coming at him.
Yeah. You need to... Once you get out of the rhythm of jumping over these stomps, it's really hard to get back into it. You end up getting hit by all of them. But he clutches it out.
A little lucky at the end that a block did not come down for Gutsman to throw at him, because that would have been the fight.
Absolutely, yeah. There was quite a few stomps there with nothing going on. Just Gutsman having a fun time in his boss chamber.
Here we are about 3:10 into the race. kzez quite a ways into Cutman stage already. Jonathan needing to catch up.
Yep, these guys will not need to worry about crazy stuff in a Leckman stage coming up. And they're also going to have a little bit of an easier Cutman fight. Though, Cutman with Buster, quite a bit easier than Gutsman with Buster. So unfortunately, the route they've taken leaves them with the tougher boss fight. It's about 10 seconds slower than going Cut first. But it means you don't have to worry about some shenanigans in a Leckman stage. kzez already into the boss quarter here. I love the way you just turn around, throw that block right into Cutman's face, just obliterates him. Even though he was low health there, no problem. We got Jonathan trying to use the select glitch to damage boost through these Suzies, I think they're called. Something weird. and not having it go his way there, getting knocked down a little bit, getting some health drops. And since there's a gigantic stomper between him and the boss of this stage, he's probably thankful for a bit of extra health. It's pretty random whether or not you can get past this guy without getting hit. He does take a hit, and he almost does something really bad with the select glitch there, but he comes out okay. He's got 4 health. As long as he can mash down these turrets. The ones on the ceiling are a bit tricky, as you can see. He opted not to mash, but rather to precisely place 3 shots on it. He should be able to finish this without taking a hit. Meanwhile, kzez has begun a Leckman stage. Whoa! Man, that pattern from Cutman. Real aggressive. Running in, jumping up, and throwing the blade down. Almost catches him, but Jonathan deftly avoids it at death, and is doing what he can to just to catch up and stay in this race. But kzez is making good progress through a Leckman stage. Moving pretty well on these ladders. Jonathan's struggling a bit with these platforms at the beginning that are incredibly unfair, by the way. I was kind of shocked the first time I played Mega Man 1. Well, I mean, not the very first time. I did play it when I was a kid, but when I went back to play it, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago or whatever on emulator, and I loaded up this stage, and I was shocked to find out how hard that first screen is. I was like, why would they do this? These platforms are far enough apart, with the ceilings close enough as they are. That's already enough of a challenge. And then they thought, well, let's put those sliding spike guys around there too, while we're at it. Real jerk move. Then you got Yoku blocks. This is a very, very hard stage. kzez has got the magnet beam. Did not have to zip into the wall, because he has Gutsman's weapon, so he's able to pick up the blocks, throw them out of the way, no problem. And that makes the rest of the vertical sections on a Leckman stage not trivial by any means. You can go a lot faster, but executing on using the magnet beam correctly is in some ways every bit as hard as doing the stage naturally. We see him doing a bit of a hybrid on this climb to the boss. Going as fast as possible involves placing a magnet beam down right away and jumping over that first beam. Having a bit of trouble there, getting knocked down a screen. As Jonathan also throwing these blocks away to pick up the magnet beam. kzez is going to play it safe on the ladder just a little bit. A Leckman fight, no problem. Cut, he's going to use the select glitch, but you can, if you want, just let that boomerang fly. It'll come back and hit him right in time for his iframes, and you can throw a third one to finish him off. Or a second one, rather, for the third hit. Jonathan opting not to use the magnet beam on that section with those 2 lasers before the boss door. That section, the timing is really tight to get your beams in place to avoid getting hit by the electricity. So he shot the magnet beam, but he didn't like his placement, didn't like his timing. Decided to just climb. He liked that one, and he's going to go for it, and he does. That's a lot closer to how you want to see that climb done. But I like that. I like that that strategy of going for it and adapting to it if it looks like you didn't get it. Ooh, just barely avoiding a Leckman's shot there to once again stay alive. Cutting it close on the boss fights, but coming through in the end is Jonathan. kzez has missed the ice wrap here, but he's got plenty of magnet beam to make this work. We saw in the last race a ton of troubles in this section. Shockingly unfair section with the way these floating turrets move randomly, which is insane to me. When you have platforms like that, they're almost always on some kind of fixed cycle so that it ensures they eventually line up so you can jump. But when you make them random, you're not necessarily guaranteed that they will line up and let you jump from one to the other. Not to mention if you do get hit, because they also shoot, because why not also let the platform shoot? You fall straight through them. What the hell is that? It's total BS. So Jonathan rather, struggling a bit trying to set up the ice trap, doesn't want to waste all his beams trying to get it going. He's got a fair chunk of them, but he's not going to use them. He's going to try to do this Yoku block section as best he can. I will be surprised if he doesn't use them here. Yeah, here we go. Start burning through him a little bit. He has plenty to make it to the refill in the middle of this horrible, horrible section. Meanwhile, kzez is cleaned up. Iceman. Very simple fight with the select glitch. He's moving on to Fireman. We'll see how he's going to do this zip at the beginning. He's doing it raw, not using the ladder to find the pixel he needs. He's just jumping and hoping. Finally gets it on the 4th or 5th try there. And he's going for another one. Zipping down that hallway. And he gets that one relatively quick. Jonathan's through that horrible turret section. As he gets to the boss fight. kzez refilling on Magnet Beam. Plenty of places to use Magnet Beam to your advantage, whether it's to zip or whether it's to just go fast. So those refills in the halfway point of the stage there, very, very helpful. Taking a hit there as he gets to the scary section here. We'll see if he's going to go for the zip. Yep, he's on the ladder. He's trying to find the pixel, line it up right underneath the score, jump up there, and then wrap around to the bottom of the screen, I think is what happened. That's a thing you can do in this game. If you grab the bottom of a ladder that is on the bottom of the screen, from the top of the screen you will grab it and end up at the bottom. And that used up all his Magnet Beam, so he's forced to just go the slow way here. Pretty solid adaptation to a bad situation, though. This is an opportunity for Jonathan to catch up. He's already moving pretty well through Fireman stage. Gets that zip. His opponent was unable to get that zip. And now he's going for the big one. This one much riskier than the others. You need to exit the zip properly, or you'll get knocked by this Bullet Bill enemy. Dodges everything and zips all the way to the end of the platform. Beautiful zip. And just like that, we have kzez warping out of the boss chamber as Jonathan's making his way into it, making up a ton of ground in this stage. kzez is going to be moving on to Bomb Man. Has another really big zip in it with potentially devastating consequences. Not nearly as bad as some of the things that can go wrong in other Mega Man games. But you still want to make sure you get it right. Using the select glitch to get through these annoying, I don't know what they are, springing bomb enemies. Falling down on this turret section. And paying a couple hit points as the toll. So I'm being joined here on commentary by one Concakes, who may or may not be ready for me to throw it over to him. Almost. We almost got it. But he's going to jump in when he's ready. In the meantime, we're going to see how this zip goes for kzez, using the ladder to line it up. He's got the pixel. He's got the zip, and he doesn't overzip. Solid execution there. Jonathan doing a good job of keeping it close. Laying down the magnet beams, not getting hit by some of these turrets.
Okay, am I here yet?
You're here! Welcome.
Hey, wonderful. Thank you, Discord, for being wonderful.
You figured it out. You figured it out just in time to see Jonathan's zip here. If you've got streams loaded up, I'm at 15:08:09.
Oh, okay, I'm a little ahead.
But that's no guarantee I'm in line with Cab either. I think I'm just close. So as long as you're close, we're good.
I'm seeing a bomb man explode here. Well,
yeah,
now he is.
Oh, okay.
And
just
now
moving on to the
I'm
next
seeing
game.
it. So yeah, I'm about 1 second behind. Should be good enough.
15:35, just about. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about 1 second back.
And I'm about 10 seconds ahead.
And if I try to fix it, I'm gonna end up like 30 seconds ahead. So I think I'm just gonna leave it and start talking about Flashman stage, which is actually pretty boring.
Yeah.
I didn't catch to see if we're dealing with Rockman 2 or Mega Man 2, but I think based off of just the general skill level and from the number of hits on these turret enemies, I think we're dealing with Mega Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not nicer, not having to shoot Heatman and Flashman so many times in the Mega Man version. Even if you do lose a little bit of time on the dialogues.
Wow, yeah, it's actually kind of a significant amount of time that you save from the other version. But boy, yeah, is it harder to deal with the higher health enemies. It takes like a really, really, really high level player in order to make the most of that version of the game.
Yeah, I feel if you don't have all the boss fights down, then you're probably better off just going with Mega Man, because you're not going to die on the bosses. You shouldn't die on the bosses. And, taking a death on a boss because he takes 14 hits to kill, it's never good.
Yeah, you just lost all your cutscene time right there. Assuming everything else goes perfect, you're still only going to break even. Flashman fight's pretty solid for both players. I think Jonathan's a little stronger, making up a tiny bit of ground here. There's still an awful lot of Mega Man left to play, so he's got a lot of time to close this gap. Here's where we see where they're going. Got Airman coming up from kzez. I like this. I've seen players go Heatman second, and I feel like they do it a little too soon in terms of where they're at in skill level. It's really hard to make Heat second worth it. But then again, I mean, like if you have the mindset to like, I'm gonna eventually get good enough that I'm gonna be doing this high level route, I would understand someone wanting to stick to it right off the bat, even if they know it's not gonna be faster.
Yeah, I didn't start doing it. I learned how to do it the fast air, but I didn't make the switch until I could turn on my game, load the save state, and do it X amount of times in a row without any problems.
Right.
Because if I'm gonna die there, then what's the point, right?
But these players, or whatever their reasons, they have chosen to start with much safer and only a little bit slower air second, mostly because of this section here that Jonathan's in, riding these cloud platforms. There's an opportunity to speed things up a little bit, but it involves you taking quite a bit of a risk, jumping out from this cloud platform to spawn it early. He's going for it. Super jump. He's got it. Nice job.
Yeah, a couple pause buffers in there to move himself a little bit forward. Ensure he lands on that platform there.
Yeah, pausing in Mega Man 2, I think 1, and I'm not sure about the others, will reset Mega Man's vertical falling speed. And he kind of has a couple frames where he really doesn't fall much at all, so if you are pausing and unpausing very quickly, you can get a surprising amount of horizontal distance on your jumps.
Yeah, and it can be kind of hard because when you're going back and forth between the games, If you do that in Mega Man 1, as soon as you unpause, you're falling straight down.
Right. Yes, that's it. That was the one. It's the complete opposite in Mega Man 1.
So yeah, going back and forth, you can kind of forget. You know, sometimes when I'm in Mega Man 2, during like a 46 Romance race, I'll be hitting select when I get hit, and I'm like, that doesn't do anything
Nope,
here.
not a thing. Not a thing in this one. There's a lot of tiny little differences, and having to adjust to them on the fly in a 46 Robot Masters race actually a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So the airman fight a little better for kzez, whether that's based off of favorable patterns. Airman has 5 different patterns he can spit out with his tornadoes. I don't know, but pretty comparable fights from both pretty good as they move into Heatman here.
Yeah, and the nice thing about doing air second and then heat, you get to take the nice little item 2 ride across the Yoku block section. Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, if you also place the item 2 correctly, you can nab that extra life at the bottom too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to have that tiny little bit of safety. We'll see if we're going to go for an item 3 throw from kzez. Item 2, much safer than item 3. And he's going to switch back to item 3 here to do the zip.
There we go.
Oh yeah, not quite far enough over to the right there that first time. But he gets the A-trigger zip on the second time. Timing's pretty tricky. We got synchronized menus there for a moment. That was cool. And going for the item 3 throw and missing it there is Jonathan. So we'll see how he does on the zip. And there's the item 2 that you pointed out, skipping those Yoku blocks.
Oh, we placed that one. Oh, sorry, I always forget. I forget on my head. I'm trying not to spoil anything.
Yeah, there it is, placing it a bit too low. You can tell he's trying to get that extra life.
Mm-hmm.
He does pick it up. We got a Heatman fight from kzez, who is doing a bit of a hybrid. Not standing right next to him, but he is kind of measuring his jumps away from him, or at least he was, in those 30, 60, 90 frame intervals. Not quite getting the true heat dance going, but showing he's familiar with the concept and is maybe just trying to get familiar with that movement. He-Man is juking out Jonathan pretty heavy here.
Yeah, he's gonna be careful.
Slow patterns and then giving him fast patterns. But he gets him down with 2 health left. Another clutch boss kill from Jonathan. Both players avoiding mishaps pretty well here through the first quarter or so of the race.
Yeah, I missed some of Mega Man 1, but got in time just for the end of it, so it seemed like they were doing pretty well at the end of Mega Man 1 for sure.
Yeah, it certainly went better than the last race. We saw Mega Man 1 come out real strong and claim some victims. Iceman stage in particular was brutal. Successful crash zip here from kzez. We'll see if Jonathan can follow suit. Switching to item 2 right away, so he's going for... Nope, never mind. It's possible to start zipping from that previous screen. It's a heck of a lot more complicated than doing the zip from this screen.
Yeah.
It is a little faster.
Yeah, this one seems to give you... The second screen seems to give you a little more leeway with making it.
So the ever-important crash climb coming up here on kzez's screen. It's kind of offset from the ladder there a little bit, and not getting on that item 3 platform. So he's knocked off by these birds. Manages to catch himself there. Nice job. is actually going to wait and ride it up a little bit so that he can catch the ladder off screen with down instead of up, and that's going to give him a little bit of a warp on the next screen, which you can also place an item 3 before you warp so that you warp on top of it and get a nice, easy jump off of it again. So it kind of counts double if you can land on one of those item 3s at the top of the screen. Jonathan's climb going a little smoother, not getting hit by the birds, landing his jumps off of these item 3s. He is gaining some ground here.
Yeah, really starting to close the gap.
Crashman down at about 25-16 or so for kzez. Jonathan whiffing that first throw and not getting the double, so it was a 32 from him, so they're about 16 seconds apart, halfway through Mega Man 2.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's still really close, you know, especially with how many things can really like go wrong in Mega Man's 1 and 2. You know, it costs a lot of time, so cool to see him still this close.
kzez is moving through the beginning half of Quickman stage here. The beams start coming into play, but he's all the way on the left side of the screen for that transition, so he's not going to have any problems with the first set of beams. And he's not pulling out that item 1, so he is not going to be doing this first zip. And this could be a big opportunity for Jonathan to make up some ground. Let's see what he's going to do.
Yeah, let's see if he's got the zip in him.
He also is not going to switch, so he is going to play it safe. He's going to skip this zip. I definitely didn't do this zip when I learned this game for the Big 20. I had a very limited time crunch with which to spend my time to learn strats, and I looked at like the craziness going on when you desync these visuals on these screens with these beams, and I was like, no thanks. So I definitely understand a player's hesitancy to not want to do that zip.
Yeah, and even with turning the lights back on, like, you still got to know exactly where you want to go. It's not, you know, you can't guess at it.
Yeah, those platforms on screen are not where they appear.
Yeah.
And that is that can sometimes be worse than doing it in the dark.
Yeah, that's why I usually use the lights out, just because I know where I'm going, and if I see the platforms, I might second guess myself, even though they're fake platforms, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So a solid Quickman fight there, cooperated by getting into that bottom left corner. We get a pretty similar thing going on here, but ooh, actually gets all the way to the other side of Quickman's hitbox and sticks the Crash Bomb on the other side of him. Luckily, Crashman didn't go anywhere and stayed inside the explosion. Still gets a pretty quick fight there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just want to hang by that Crash Bomb, hoping he'll jump back on top of you and take some damage from his explosion.
Now that we've got the quick boomerang, we're off to Metal Man stage. Setting up the item 1s for this zip. One of the longest single zips in the game. Definitely one of the ones you want to add to your repertoire early on.
Yeah, it's one of the easier ones to do. Like, once you know where to set it, it's not too bad. You can even set it standing, which will make it a lot easier to get onto the item and get yourself up into the wall.
Yeah, you just need to deal with the conveyor belts.
Yeah.
If you miss it on that first jump. So that's what we saw kzez struggling with a little bit, and not Jonathan, so making up a bit more ground. Switching to item 2 here. This is item 2 is pretty low. Always using the back and forth manipulation on the first gear clown there. And he is able to make it over the enemy, so a successful item 2 fly from him. And right behind him is Jonathan, who also succeeds keeping this race super close. Nice job, both players.
Yeah, now we're heading into Metal Man. They're going to want to hold B and not move past the halfway mark in the stage, and he's just going to stand there, take some quick boomerangs.
It's kind of lovely the way it works out. The only weapon that has the auto fire mechanic. Oh, letting go a little too soon there is Jonathan. But the weapon that has the auto-fire mechanic that lets you abuse this glitch is the one that he's weak to. And it just happens to have enough reach to nicely reach from past the middle of the stage into his hitbox. Just happens to work out in speedrunner's favor.
Okay, seems we got a little bit of a couple different paths here, Bubble Man and Wood Man.
We'll try to cover everything going on both screens at once. kzez has got the item 2 out, and he's going through this frog section, and he's through cleanly. That is very tricky. You need to move back and forth or place the item 2 at various heights in order to make sure you don't get hit by any of the bodies of the frogs or the 3 mini ones they spit out. And a fall in the wrong spot can be deadly. Best case scenario is you just get knocked off the item 2 and it flies away without you.
Yeah, well, something we noticed when we were playing through these games, trying to figure out what would be the best order. If you're not gonna save one of the items, like I know people have been doing Airman last to save all that text. But yeah, if you're not gonna do that, you want to do Bubble last, just because it takes extra time to zip out of his or to teleport back out of his stage. So it's nothing major, but you will save a couple seconds by doing him last.
Yeah, one of those small optimizations unique to the 46 Robot Masters category.
Yeah, since we're going to Mega Man 3 right as soon as the boss is killed. And if you're playing it, you can hear it in the music. You can hear the little fanfare, and it just kind of waits for a minute there. And that's due to the lag the water creates. It ends up slowing your teleport down as well.
So a solid Bubble Man stage, and I think we saw no good wood there from Jonathan, opting to pull out the metal blades and go ham on everything. It's a very solid strategy. That zip is complicated. I mean, once you know what to do, it's not that bad, but when you don't know anything about it, and you're just looking at it, it can be very intimidating to learn it and add it to your Mega Man repertoire. So he says, nah, I'm just going to throw metal blades at everything, go through the rest of the stage. He did, however, flash the dogs, prevent them from spawning, and ran past them. So we did manage to save some time. We're looking for a 3-dog flash here from kzez. He needs to get some distance from that little zip there in the screen transition. I think he got enough, and I think he flashed late enough that he can get past this dog, and he just barely does. Successfully getting past all 3 with flash. Nice job. Ooh, a death from Jonathan.
Yeah,
Unable to deal with these frogs.
I really dislike those frogs.
They're awful. They're awful. They take 5 hits on this version of the game, and that's not easy to land that many hits without stopping. And worse, they spit out those little frogs, and if one of your bullets hits them, then you probably are not going to be able to adjust in time to hit the frog in extra time. I think that's exactly what happened to Jonathan that first go around. Not the worst death he could take, to be sure. Rather quick respawn as he moves on, going for the bubble zip here. We saw an A trigger zip from kzez, and he's just a little bit too short to get up into that ceiling. As kzez is executing on good wood, kzez gets the A trigger zip, and the death and the respawn in the boss corridor are successful good wood from kzez, who, thanks to the death from Jonathan and the zip from kzez, I think we're looking at this incredibly close race opening up a little bit here. I mean, then again, Woodman just down and heading into the boss room is Jonathan, so not that far apart after all. We got Gemini first from kzez. This is one of the older routes some would say an outdated route, not worth. It's not the fastest, and it's not the easiest, and the balance for speed versus risk is kind of out of whack, I think.
Yeah, Gemini First is a hard stage.
But it's one of those things where it's kind of not all that much time gain or lost. If you're talking about, being fairly well optimized. So if you're someone who's learned how to do it one way, you need a pretty good reason to learn how to do it the other way. And a couple seconds for a lot of people is not a good enough reason, so they just stick with what they know. Or maybe there's some other reason he has for wanting to do this first. Very hard to say, but here he is. He's got the Proto Man skip, so the music's off. He's avoiding lag, and he's glitching the sprites. As you saw there, those penguins become a garbled mess of snake sprites. And he's heading into the scariest part, by far, of Gemini Man stage.
Yeah, this is the part right here. If you can do this, then yeah, I'd Gemini First, not a problem. But a lot of people I know have a hard time getting through this section without Rush Marine or Rush Jet. Well done.
Yep. He took one hit from below. That's because he had to play it safe. Mosquitoes above, missiles below. He says, I'll take the missile. I know I'm not going to fall off if I get hit by that.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Jonathan's been making excellent progress in Magnet stage. This is the safer, more consistent of the routes available. And they are fighting their respective bosses at the same time. Gemini Man stage, a little bit longer than Magnet, so it's a little misleading. Also, he is incredibly low on life. He does not have any more health to take damage boosts and stop Magnet from doing this invincible Magnet shield thing he does. And he decides to give it to him all the time. Normally you want to see that because you can run into it, stop him from doing it, and start hitting him again. But once you no longer have the health, you'd much rather he jump up and give you the Magnet attack.
Mm-hmm.
Synchronized boss kills here from both players. Gemini Man is dead and not vanished, as we've seen before in this tournament a couple times. It is possible for him to just not show up after you fight the first two Gemini clones or whatever they are. Very interesting soft lock situation that we've managed to avoid here.
That's always something you hate to see because it's not really anything they did wrong. It's just Gemini Man. That's not one to play today. Oh boy.
Yep. I think there's like a reason why it happens, and so I think from that, it should be possible to keep that in mind when you fight him and then avoid it. But
if I may,
if you may, yes. Please enlighten us.
The two Gemini men you see jumping around the room are actually two separate enemies from the one you fight later, and they have their own pool of hit points individually. It's possible to basically run those out before the game kind of realizes one of them is dead. And if you manage to basically kill them both before the real one spawns, that's when you get the soft lock. All you have to do is make sure you get the one running across the floor at a slower speed, and you're fine. It can be a little tricky, though, because if you fire off the killing shot on both of them before the first one connects, you'll never know.
So it's one of those situations where you have to go slow if you want to be sure. That or just make sure that while you're fighting, you know.
Well, that and if you're keeping track of the hits and you know how many it takes. So.
You deal an extra hit to one of them and you keep that level from there on. But I guess the optimal way to do it is to always be hitting one the other. So, you could say there's a bit of hesitation involved. We got a very solid Needleman stage during that explanation done by kzez, followed by a Needleman boss fight. Successfully down. No Nadua lasers for him. As Jonathan is making his way through Hardman's stage into the boss fight. He's got those magnets out. I think he might be a little low on magnet ammo. We'll see. No, I think he's going to be fine after all. You want to make sure that you have the 7 magnets you need to deal with Hardman, so you don't have to switch to Buster later. Even though you'd love to be using some of those magnets earlier on in his stage, they're put to better use during the boss fight.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
heading
you-
to Sparkman from kzez.
Yeah, he's coming up here now. Yeah, he's got the. Oh, right. I think Needle is a secondary weakness for Spark. Because I know the bosses in Mega Man 3 will take damage from more than one weapon.
Needle will take 2 points of damage instead of 1 from Spark.
Mm.
Well, you know what I mean. I think I got that backwards.
So we have a soft weakness exploitation to sort of break into this these other robot masters. And it's Mega Man 3, right? Where there's like 2 closed loops of weaknesses.
Yeah, in Mega Man 3, you got a circle of 5 and then a circle of 3.
Yeah, so at some point you have to break into that one of the other groups.
Yeah, and we'll probably be seeing on Jonathan's side, that'll probably be when he uses Shadow Blade on Gemini Man. That's one of the easier ways to move on to the next loop.
Yeah, some people like to use Shadow Blade on Spark as well.
Mm.
Just the position of the stage with that middle column there, making it easy to throw diagonal shots up into him. And kind of the opposite, Needle going straight across makes it a little tricky. So we saw kzez struggle a little bit, get really low on life during that fight. But sure enough, as seems to be the theme for this race, the boss is defeated. No death. We saw a super jump during Airman stage from Jonathan, but we're not going to see the top jump from him. Another very scary jump, especially so close to the boss stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen a few times in some of these races, people die really just right outside the boss door, and it's so heartbreaking because, jeez Louise, I apologize. Boy.
Train of thought totally ruined.
Yeah, I was actually laying in bed to nap, and then I saw
Calling
the
all
messages on
commentators.
Discord. So I was like, okay, I'll come in, and then I forgot to turn off the alarm. So, whoops.
You're awake.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We got kzez moving through Magnet Man stage here as Jonathan heads into Shadow. He's got Magnet's weapon for this stage, which I suppose his opponent also will. Usually when you go Gemini Man, or I guess I'm thinking of Top Man, where you don't have Magnet for Shadow.
Mm.
Having Magnet for this stage is a big deal. There are some parachute enemies waiting for us later on that are a huge pain to deal with.
Yeah.
Buster is a problem. You have to wait or play it super risky and try to slide under them. And you can use Top Man's weapon, but because Top Man's weapon is so hard to use, has such short range, and also the way it kind of kicks you back a little bit when you kill these parachute enemies. It's equally tricky to use, and then the magnets, if you use them right, kind of trivialize that section. It's still pretty tricky to land the slides and the jumps, but certainly nowhere near the problem it is with a magnet weapon. So here he is switching to it now. Bam, bam, bam. Pausing a moment there to deal with drops. Drops are still very much a problem. You don't want to get one when you're on top of a pit. So he's okay. Magnet Man fight also going well for kzez. He's out of that stage and he's going to be moving on to Hardman.
Yeah, and since he was at the top of his jumps when he got those energy refills, they weren't too bad. So he was able to, he had enough room to, as he was falling like he would normally be, to get over to the next little ledge or little platform.
A solid Shadow Man fight as well. Making sure not to get caught inside Shadow Man's hitbox during the invincibility frames, because that will drain all of your top energy real fast. 1 per frame, I think, is the rate.
Yeah, you got to be really careful there because you will. Yeah, it'll just be gone, and then you gotta buster down Shadow, which if you're not used to doing that, can be pretty tough. if you don't know his pattern.
Yeah, especially if you're going into the boss fight with a health situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Gemini Man, Gemini Stage from Jonathan, who's waiting pretty late in to switch to Magnet, but he eventually does. Magnet really useful at taking out these flame dropper enemies before they shoot their flames, but you also have to know the timing and get them down perfectly in order to stop them from doing it. And so he's a bit off here, gets slowed down quite a bit, and there's the missing the Proto Man cutscene skip. I didn't know you end up walking in place like that though. That's cute.
Yeah, he's just practicing his running man.
Yeah, he's like a cartoon revving up before he picks up. Unfortunately, that is not as fast as if you skip the cutscene entirely. So now, not only did he have to wait for that cutscene, but he also has to deal with the extra lag that the music is creating at the moment. Gemini Man, a very laggy stage, so getting rid of the music actually makes a pretty big difference. As kzez slides on into Hardman's fight, he's doing pretty okay on health here. I don't think he's going to have any problems. Successfully avoiding getting hit on that first phase there. So he is twice okay. He was going in. He's done with the fight.
Nice way to end with, using all of his magnet. Measured it out pretty well throughout the stage.
So we got Rush Marine. This makes this section a lot easier. And anything that makes this section easier is very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Popping up onto the high ground here to grab the refills.
Yeah, that section.
Grab that E-Tank.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea because now with his health coming into Gemini Man stage here. But yeah, that section, especially with the lag, even without the lag, it's very difficult. But especially with that lag, it can be really bad to try and get over those blocks. Oh!
We'll see where we're watching. I'm seeing low health from Jonathan, so I'm anticipating. Oh, wow. Likely with the theme of the race just continues here with another low health clutch kill from Jonathan.
Him not switching over to that E-Tank, I was thinking, you got
that's what the E-Tank is for, man. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make our hearts race.
I grabbed my NES controller and started mashing the start button. I was trying to get through.
Why isn't it working? I guess he knew. He just knew this is the way this race is going. I'm going to be fine. He gets him down. He heads into Needleman stage. We got the conclusion of a top end stage here. No top jump from kzez, but he is going to pull out the hard knuckle.
Nice. Yeah, this Green and Needleman stage is very cool with the Magnet Missile. You can place all those missiles just right. You can just go through the whole stage without stopping. It looks awesome. Or that whole screen, rather. Yeah,
the timing is very tricky. Magnet Man's weapon, when you see someone in a speedrun using it, you're like, well, that thing's totally overpowered. You just throw it out there and it kills whatever. But you actually need to be firing it in a very specific way in order to make it actually connect with a lot of its targets. It has a habit of not doing that. Kind of like we just saw there with this sniper shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta wait till their eyes are open so they become, valid targets for that magnet missile to home after. But if you're standing too close to the ladder, it'll usually take your shots and send them up to the guy on the top side.
So we got a needle fight, getting nice and close. You do not want to miss with the Gemini laser. It has, I think it's comprised of 4 different sprites.
Mm-hmm.
And that means the game lags like crazy when you fire it. And if you miss him, the laser rather is gonna bounce off the wall. And if it doesn't hit him, it's gonna keep bouncing. It's gonna keep lagging, and you cannot fire another one until it is gone. that is going to do it later. And we're not going to see it from either of these players today. Nice job to both of them. kzez cleaned up that Proto Man fight. He was doing it from a distance. The fastest way to do it is to get right up behind him and just start mashing like crazy. But it's a really, really tricky thing to do, to mash quickly while also controlling Mega Man the way you need to do. So a lot of players will opt to just play it safe and do all sorts of other ways to deal with those Proto Man fights. Got Rush Jet broken out here for Snake Man stage. It lags a little bit as you try to get over these large snake enemies, but it is the fastest way to get through there.
Yeah, the Snake Man stage is, 9/10 Rush Jet.
Yeah. These Pogo enemies are giving Jonathan some trouble and creating some lag.
Yeah, the way they, their little, vault sticks come out at you, you gotta slide not right in front of them, because that stick will hit you, but you gotta do it at the right time so the stick doesn't land on you. It can be a little tricky. Hey, there we go.
Also entering Snake Man is kzez, who cleaned up Shadow Man pretty easily. Did not run out of Top Man's weapon, not even close.
Now this is kzez's final robot, correct?
I think so. I do not have the main stream open, or do I? No, I do. Yeah, so Jonathan still has to not Magnet. Who is that?
Sparkman, I think he has that?
Sparkman, that's it.
Okay.
Snake and then Spark. So he is about half a stage behind. Maybe more like 3/4 of a stage behind. Which is pretty good considering we're about almost halfway through the race.
Yeah, there's been a lot, a lot bigger of. Jeez Louise, let's learn how to talk
Gaps.
there, okay? Yeah, we've seen races blow a lot more open in a lot shorter of a time than this. So for them to keep together for almost 3 whole games, that's awesome. That's something you want to see.
Absolutely.
Usually
Snake Man is down. Usually what?
Usually what you see, there will be some people that are really good at Mega Man 1 and 2, and they'll take a nice chunk out there. And then sometimes when they get to the slide Mega Mans, they're a little bit less familiar with them, and then you see it start to open up there a little bit on the leads.
We get some discussion in chat about some other Mega Mans, particularly the Wily Wars on the Genesis, sparking some conversation about the Genesis sound chip. I mean, people tried to do things with it. Usually when they're porting a SNES game to the Genesis, they try to just copy the music, and it does not work at all. But when someone uses that dirty bass sound that the Genesis can do, the wow wow, I love that sound that the Genesis is capable of putting out. I just felt like interrupting everything about this race to push my own Genesis dubstep agenda. Moving on to Mega Man 4.
Some of those Aladdin songs, man, those were very well done.
Yeah.
You got me singing along here, sitting in my bedroom, singing all the songs,
Absolutely no. Absolutely. So we got Bright first here from kzez as Jonathan's wrapping up Sparkman stage here, dealing with this scary section with these rising blocks. Luckily, the bolts will not hit you until they're fully formed. Otherwise, that section would be a lot worse. And Brightman stage, however, for kzez also has its fair share of scary moments, but he's through most of them. He's got a second Grasshopper section here.
Yeah, the longer you wait on that Sparkman section, the harder it becomes. You just have to keep moving so those bolts don't have a chance to form, or then you really kind of back yourself into a corner.
Ooh, mashing down the totems and then turning around and damage boosting off the pellet. Pretty smooth move there from kzez. Cutting some corners and shaving some frames. We got more Brightman coming up from jonathanxspidewebia. Makes it over that scary jump at the beginning there.
Yeah, that jump, that's a sneaky one there on the beginning of Brightman. You kind of feel like it's a big jump and it doesn't really look like it. You know, you think you can make it, but if you don't jump right, you're going in a hole.
Speaking of not jumping right and going in a hole, Jonathan falls there pretty far into that first half of the stage, not hitting the checkpoint, going back to the start. So that is pretty costly, and this half a stage gap between the players is looking more and more like it's going to open up into a full stage, as kzez does a wonderful job wrapping up the Brightman fight, making sure that he does not trigger any of Bright's flash stoppers, which he does at 16, 8, and 4 health remaining. All you gotta do is shoot him once with the lemon and then stick to your charge shots, and that will help you skip all 3 of those values and not get flashed. So a very solid fight from him. He's going to be moving on to Pharaoh's stage, I assure. Yes, there it is. As Jonathan needs to try to do what he can to make up some ground here. Pharaoh second is a lot nicer than Pharaoh first. You get this flash stopper for this early section. You don't have to worry about the dragonfly enemies dropping bombs. You don't have to worry about the scorpions rising up out of the sand. And the dragonflies in particular make it easier to do this jump over this gap, which he nails. Very important to get that jump. The balloon is waiting on the other side. Very, very, very important if you're doing a full run of the game. But for 46 Robot Masters, actually not all that important that you pick up the balloon, but it is the fastest way to go. So if you can, you want to grab it.
Yeah, you get the little teleport through part of the stage, and then there's a few places in like Skullman stage and Ringman stage for sure that you can save a little bit of time on.
As for the thunder, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, it was really loud earlier. It's starting to not be so loud, but yeah, I seen my mic coming up on the Discord, and I was like, uh-oh, I hope it's not coming over too loud.
I have a neighborhood with, I don't know, people just like to do things outside. I just hear a chainsaw going and like 7 p.m. I don't know. So sometimes I do have to close the window. We got the back half of Pharaoh Man stage going pretty smoothly. As Brightman is wrapped up by Jonathan. We'll see how this Pharaoh fight goes for kzez. He wants to stay close and manipulate Pharaoh Man into doing as many charge shots as possible and not doing any jumps. And he's got the situation he really wants to be in. He wants to be one level above Pharaoh Man. That makes it a lot easier to jump over these charge shots. There it is, wrapping up that fight. Fairly solid. Got one jump. You can't totally manipulate him from never jumping, but he deals with it pretty well.
Yeah, as long as he's charging up, you're getting a nice free hit in there, and you shouldn't be taking any damage unless you miss time one of your jumps. But yeah, that's one of the best patterns you can get him in, is just to keep charging like that.
Jonathan also makes it over the gap and into the balloon, so he's going to have that at the ready for Ringman stage, which is where kzez is. And we'll see what he's got in store for us. It's pretty tricky to make use of this balloon in this vertical section, but it is faster. Damage boosting off that turret, getting through there. We're going to probably see some wall jumps there. Nicely done. And one more. There it is.
Yeah, nice way to use the balloon to get through there.
The wall jumps are not quite wall jumps. They look like wall jumps, but what you're doing is you're sticking the balloon into the wall, and then the balloon hitbox is still active while it despawns, because it's not allowed to be in the wall. And you jump up on top of it while it's despawning and then jump off of that. But it happens so fluidly, it can look like Mega Man is just jumping straight off the wall. So he is going to take it backwards damage boost off of this mini boss, crash into him with Pharaoh's charged up weapon doing something similar with the hippopotamus. A lot of mini bosses that you can skip in this manner, which means you take a lot of damage. If you're going the optimal strats, you end up getting to Ringman, basically unable to take a hit. And Ringman's a scary boss. I mean, it depends how you look at it, I guess. He is completely predictable. So for a speedrunner, that is a huge bonus. But he's also really fast and kind of erratic. I mean, he always does the same thing, but the things he does are still tricky to dodge. So we'll see how this fight goes. Oh, we got Jonathan going back to Pharaoh Man after successfully defeating him. Not what he wants to do, so that's a quick reset for him while he deals with that situation. Meanwhile, we got a Ringman fight, hitting him with the charged up shot above his head, and then firing it again, getting twice the damage per shot, successfully dodging all of his attacks, and ending Ringman stage with a beautiful fight.
Yeah, once you have that fight down, it's not so bad, but you can get caught up there if you're not sure what he's doing, and he can do a lot of damage pretty quickly.
Jonathan, thanks to that menu mishap, is now a full stage behind in earnest. He's got the balloons out and he's doing the wall jumps, looking pretty good. Waiting a little bit here, still gets hit by the dirt, but he's through. We got a Dustman stage coming up from kzez. This is a scary stage.
Yeah, section with the blocks forming over these spikes.
Ooh, jumping underneath that copter enemy. Very risky, but he pulls it off. Keeping all those enemies frozen. Ooh, Ringman's the Pharaoh shot, tinking off of the mini bosses there, takes an extra hit. That's gonna affect the way he goes through the rest of the stage for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be really careful coming through here with his health situation.
So
he's gonna
do the same thing on the Hippo boss, takes the hit, keeps going. And now he is forced to make a decision on how he handles the next one.
Yeah, he's gotta watch his Pharaoh energy too, because he is losing some of it.
Good option here is to switch to Flash Stopper and freeze the ring boss when he opens up. But it looks like he's either just not familiar with it or doesn't care. He just throws the Pharaoh shot at it, slides on in. I think if he does this perfectly, he will be okay.
Well,
speaking of perfectly, there it is.
yeah, well done there. After he shot that first shot, it's like, hey, you gotta go now. If you die, you're using Buster, so make it work, and he did, which was nice.
Yeah, these guys just seem to have some kind of supply of get out of jail free cards or something. They just know I'm okay to take this risk because it's not gonna go wrong. It's just every boss fight, they're in these scary situations, and they could take a death to refill their health. They could use an E-tank sometimes, but they don't. They just go for it, and it has not gone wrong for either player yet. That's me doing my best to jinx them. But honestly, whatever I've been doing, if anything, which is nothing, but if anything, clearly it's been making it work for these two players. So no reason to stop now. As kzez has pulled out the balloons for Skullman stage here. I didn't catch if he got the zip at the beginning.
Yeah, he went and nailed it first try, which is really nice.
Of course. Whoa, sliding on the spikes. Then, yeah.
I thought the iframes were gonna be gone. I
thought he was dead for sure. I thought he was dead a second before he jumped. And then it lasted beyond that for even more than a second. So he is, I guess he knows, or maybe he's just extremely lucky. We'll maybe find out at some other point. Having some trouble with this Crusher section here. Actually switching off of the ring weapon that he wants for the boss. to switch to Buster, which makes it a lot easier to get through this section. So he's eating that time loss for that safety, which is maybe a good call. He is really low on health as well.
Yeah, you want to make sure you have enough ring left for Dustman.
kzez is doing a wonderful job at the rest of Skullman stage.
They're
There
both
with
about to
lots
enter
of-
these boss doors, so that's nice. Get
Yeah,
double boss fights.
He lost. Jonathan lost some time early on in Mega Man 4 here, but ever since then he's done a great job of keeping pace, always entering these boss rooms at the same time. Skullman fight goes well. He's down to 1 health as Jonathan. He's absolutely does not have the option. There's a death there. Did not have the option of running into Dustman to cancel his suck attack that he can do, his suffer and suck attack, and is going to end up taking a death there. But he did not try to hit him with ring at all, so he has plenty of ring ammo left for the second go, and I don't think there's going to be a problem. He is even going to go ahead and play it aggressive here, slide into him to cancel that attack, and then gets no attacks, nothing but jumps, keeps him in iframes. Pretty great fight second time around there. You got Dive Man from kzez, who's struggling a little bit early on, but now he's got the flash stopper out. And he's making sure to slide on as many surfaces as he can to extend the flash stopper timer. It does not tick down during a slide, which is a really interesting quirk. And combined with the rather lengthy flash stopper base time of 5 seconds, means that you can actually do quite a bit of travel while all the enemies are frozen. If you chain your slides very well, you can pretty much clear entire screens with only having to freeze things once. And you get quite a bit of ammo with it too, so I would say Flash Topper, one of the MVP weapons of Mega Man 4. Also worth noting, Jonathan got the zip as well early on in Skullman stage, first try.
Yeah, that's it. If you don't make it, you die, unfortunately. So, but it's not too far in the stage where it's not worth a try. But yeah, we saw them use that Bright Stopper on Pharaoh's stage. And the first screen, that's a long screen, and with the sliding you do there, you can get it to last the entire screen. And it's a lot of ground to cover with the Flash Stopper.
Skullman stage pretty long, so he's not quite at the boss door before kzez is finished with Dive Man. A wonderful fight from him, staying nice and close, manipulating Dive Man's drill attacks to be as short as possible. Here's Jonathan's boss fight. Skullman jumping right over his initial shot. So not doing a great job of manipulating him. He is going to get a second shield here, and he's going to hold that shield for just about as long as he can.
Yeah, he's like, well, I know you can't hit me with this on, so hey, let's just sit here all day, I guess.
Yeah, your move, Mega Man. It is random how long he keeps that shield up. That is the only thing random, though. The rest of him can be manipulated. What cannot be manipulated is when Drill Man decides to dive into the ground.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that goes for kzez as he's making his way through Drill Man stage now.
Yeah, he's always going to start with his little initial one dive that he does, and then as many as he wants to, which can be really, really painful.
Pretty solid Dive Man so far from Jonathan, utilizing these slides very well. Tricky, sliding in water in Mega Man 4. Cannot jump out of your slide the way you can elsewhere.
Yeah, you'll see him.
That's kind of similar to the way sliding works in other Mega Man games. So that sort of input of knowing how to cancel your slides by pressing left instead of A is still at least somewhat familiar to players who run the 46 Robot Masters category.
Yeah, that's why you see him a few times. They're just turning around when he gets close to a spike bed, just to make sure that he's not going into it.
Here's Drillman. There's the first dive. Let's see what happens next. He's jumping around, and there he goes underground. You can have him favor not diving by staying close to him, but that's about all you can do, and it's far from a guarantee. Still, only one dive, though. Pretty solid fight.
Yeah, I'll take
I'm
that.
going to be happy with that. Yep.
I will take one dive, aside from the initial one, but yeah, I'll take that any day of the week.
Let's see what Jonathan can do with Dive Man here.
Looks like he's probably going to have just enough shield to get through and beat him.
Yeah, though he's actually moving as such to dodge the missile rather than use the shield to deflect it. And that was actually pretty cool to see, not losing much time at all, saving on ammo. Nice job. We got Toadman coming out from kzez. Pretty tricky stage. The rain that you see is actually pushing Mega Man back, but only when he's in the air. As long as he's on the ground, he's okay. So you're dealing with this constant shift in the speed at which Mega Man moves. You have to be prepared to deal with that. You want to be using Flash Stopper for a lot of it, and that means you want to be sliding to extend the length of that, and that plays into the speeds again at which Mega Man is moving, sliding, walking, jumping. So it's kind of there's a sort of rhythm to it, a certain back and forth, a certain flow to it. And I think if you get out of that flow, you can find yourself in a pit pretty quick at Toadman stage.
Yeah, like you were saying, there's just a lot of neat things going on in Toadman stage. With the rain, the water pushing you forward and backwards, skipping those giant snail mini bosses you saw him skipping. Really cool stage.
Thankfully, the Toadman fight not nearly as complicated as at the stage. You stick close, you throw drills at him, and you'll kill him before he does pretty much anything at all. And that's going to wrap up Mega Man 4 for kzez. He is moving on to Mega Man 5 because 5 comes after 4. In case you didn't know. High tier commentary laying that out. So we got Jonathan going into Drillman stage. We'll see what kind of pattern he gets.
It's very sound reasoning.
Ooh, getting a dive right away.
We'll see if you can only stick to one more dive, or that one dive, then he'll be all right.
He misses a couple shots there. Dive Man's weapon is a little drunk sometimes, and it managed to fly off screen rather than find its target. But he does not get punished for missing those shots. Drill Man stays above ground, gives him a total of a 1 dive pattern, and overall a very solid fight. So he's not going to be unhappy with how that went. This kzez is making his way through Starman stage, another underwater type mechanic, except it's low gravity this time. Same movement, just a different wrapping, I guess, for it. We go to Starman stage in Mega Man 5 because you get the super arrow from it, and the super arrow is a really good reason to go to a stage. It lets you ascend vertically very quickly by jumping on several of them. It lets you travel horizontally very quickly by riding it. It does damage. It sticks into walls. You can fire a fair chunk of them because they don't eat up too much ammo. Unless you're riding it, then it'll eat up all your ammo. Wonderful weapon for speedrunners. They definitely want it as soon as possible, so they're going to go to Starman. Luckily, fighting him with the Buster, not too bad, especially if you know that you can jam your shots in between his shield. And kzez does know, uses that technique to great use, and gets Starman down. Pretty good time.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of cool super missile stuff in just about every stage here that they're gonna be going through has some good places to put those arrows to get yourself quickly towards the end of the stage.
Jonathan doing a great job of sliding everywhere in Toadman stage. Those fish didn't get a chance to move at all, prolonging that flash stopper timer all the way to the end. He's going to switch to drill, and I imagine he's going to have no problems wrapping up Toadman. As his opponent, kzez, is making his way through Gravity Man stage. There's that arrow already being put to use. Mega Man 5 is up and running for Jonathan. He's about a stage and a half behind now, losing just a little bit of time here and there. Kind of imperceptible almost. No major mistakes, no falls, no deaths, no bad patterns.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was having to reset and get that password for choosing Pharaoh Man stage a second time.
Yeah, absolutely. That dropped him down to a full stage back, but since then, he's managed to lose about half a stage just from cleaner execution from his opponent, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see the arrow will play a big part in who comes out on Mega Man 5. Whichever person knows the better arrow placements is usually going to take the biggest lead in Mega Man 5, just because of how much time you can save with moving forward on those arrows.
Gravity Man is down. Scripted fight, pretty much. He's going to do the same thing, so you do the same thing, and he'll die. Not too difficult to execute on. Star Crash has a nice big hitbox.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan actually having a really good Starman stage. I feel like he's maybe making up some ground here.
Yeah, it's a nice way to get through that stage.
Has an excellent Starman fight as well. And a nice super arrow placement from kzez. Getting it nice and high on that screen. Even has one extra to jump straight up to the refill. And he's routing it now underneath those enemies to the end of the screen.
Yeah, really
good gyro.
nice. Really nice way to get the arrows going here in the beginning of gyro stage.
Sliding across this collapsing bridge. Takes a hit there. It's pretty scary when you get hit. But he deals with that very nicely. As he heads into this auto-scrollerish section. Not quite as scary as they look, these spikes. I don't think I've seen anyone jump into these in the tournament yet so far. Making good use of the charged buster to take out these turret enemies. The hitbox of the charged buster gets widened considerably in Mega Man 5. Makes it a lot more useful.
Oh, and there we go. I come back just in time for the easiest boss in the 46 Roadmasters, Gyro Man.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. As long as you do not fire your weapon too soon during his iframes, you will waste it, and then you're going to have to pull out the buster or some other weapon to finish him off. And as long as you don't do that, he's toast.
Do you think Toad's easier, Mr. Cav? I don't know. I don't know. Just hitting the B button with not a care in the world, you know.
I guess there's potential for it to go really wrong. Like, if you screw up on Toad, you miss one of your shots or whatever, it's not a big deal. But if you screw up on Gyro, you miss 2-3 times, tracking him down as he flies around through the clouds and stuff kind of sucks a little bit. So
Here we
hard
go.
to say. Yeah, we got a Crystal Man warp coming up here. This barrel placement looks good, and he does have it. So what's going on here is, well, first of all, the arrows are placed at specific heights so that he knows he's going to get hit in a certain way and die on the same frame as this enemy on the right side of the screen spawns. And you can see he does not have his ball enemy accompanying him, and that's because on the frame that thing was supposed to spawn, Mega Man died and all his death sprites, the big explosion, fills up all the game's available memory. And so it says, what am I going to do with this other enemy? How about I stick it over here instead? And over here happens to be the respawn timer and where Mega Man is in the stage. So those values get written in. Mega Man takes about 40 seconds to respawn instead of the normal 2 or whatever. And instead of appearing at the beginning of the stage, he appears at the very end. Very bizarre trick. It just kind of happens to work out that the values for that enemy correspond to the values for the end of the stage. It's entirely possible that that wouldn't be the case, but it is. So that's how this trick works. And if done properly, well, compared to the stage done properly, I think it saves about 10 or 15 seconds. But Crystal Man stage is very difficult to execute on. Most people are not going to be doing it optimally, and that means that skipping it just goes and saves more and more time.
Yeah, the best part about that skip too is I like it in this race because, you know, let's say we're about an hour and 20 minutes in now. It's a nice time. You got 45 seconds. You put down the controller. You kind of put your head back. Take a deep breath. Get yourself ready for the rest of the game. Shake out your hands a little bit, and you're good to go. That's what I like about it. I like that it gets you a nice little break to, you know, rethink what you're doing and make sure your process is right.
I like it. It is important, actually. I mean, you might want to laugh off the idea of athleticism when it comes to speedrunning. But the truth is there's a certain amount of stamina required to focus the way you have to play these games for an hour and 20 minutes, hour 40 minutes, 2 hours. It is draining. There's no doubt. And that 40 seconds, like you said, to collect your thoughts definitely helps.
And with this, you know, most of us using these brick NES controllers, they're not the most comfortable if you have big hands. Like, there's not a lot of controller to hold there, so
they're really not.
It's nice to just shake your hands out a little bit.
Oh, I do not see this enemy on the right side of the screen, so I don't think this arrow placement was correct. Sure enough, that is a respawn. He definitely has not died yet, though, so he is going to be able to go ahead and just do this again without worrying about a game over.
I don't think
The arrow placement. Oh, he would be out of ammo, wouldn't he? Well, let's find out. If he doesn't know, then... Yep, I think he just realized. So he is going to probably just continue to kill himself here. Hopefully he
looks
hasn't
like a
picked
slide
up...
setup. I think he's got it.
Oh, he's got it!
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never seen that.
Yeah, that totally caught me off guard. I didn't think he would just YOLO it like that, but there it is. The super arrows are only there to set up so that you will die on the same frame as the enemy spawns. It just works out that way. But if you manually time it, if you know exactly where to be when that enemy is going to spawn, you can do exactly like he just did, slide directly into the enemy. It is even a little bit faster, I suppose, than setting up the super arrows. So
Yeah,
congrats to him.
A lot of things you got to get right there. You got to get Mega Man's position right. You got to get the enemy's position right for when you slide into it. Like, there's a lot of stuff working in there. He made it look pretty easy. So well done. That was awesome.
Yeah, making an incredible recovery from a bad situation there and doing everything he can to keep this race close, which all of us viewers appreciate for sure. So he's done with Crystal Man. His opponent is making his way through Stone Man stage.
Yeah, still only a stage and a quarter behind, so he's doing really well keeping pace here.
Yeah, it's only really going to take one bad thing from kzez, and all of a sudden we'll have ourselves a real exciting finish.
Yeah, any errant death or anything could really change this race around.
kzez struggling a little bit with his arrows, but a nice recovery there, getting on top of that second one. He's got enough ammo to get all three of these arrows out and get all the way to the top of the screen so we can avoid all these enemies.
Oh, looks like he placed his rush jet here a little too high to jump on top of it.
Jonathan pretty low on health here, coming to the end of the Napalm Man stage. He's got a lot of the gravity weapon though, so he can clear out. Well, he just burned almost all of it. Now, totally all of it. So he's not going to have it for these last few drills, so we just wait them out. Move on to the boss fight. Speaking of boss fights, kzez is done with his against Stone Man. Pretty solid fight. We'll see if Jonathan can keep pace with his against Napalm Man. Dodging these napalm shots is pretty scary because you do have to make sure you get nice and close.
Yeah,
Does
he's always
take one
gonna.
hit. He's okay.
He's always gonna
okay.
shoot those peanuts like right at you. So as long as you're good with sliding after he shoots them and making sure he doesn't land on you, it's not too bad fighting him.
Yep, he stays cool under pressure and once again clutches out a win against a Robot Master. You got kzez slipping off of his first set of arrows in Charge Man stage, but he does have a bit of ammo left over, so we'll see what he can get going on this last screen here, or this next screen rather. Seems like he's got a pretty good position on this arrow. He's going to be able to ride it all the way to the edge of the screen. I am remiss to report that neither player has indicated who their chicken rings are dedicated to. Well, not in the SRL chat. I noticed that some of our players have been in the Speed Gaming chat, but I don't think they've said it there either.
Yeah, hopefully they'll let us know after they finish that charge stage.
Incredibly important to communicate that. So we got Crystal Man's weapon out here for the back half of Charge Man stage. Now switching to Buster.
Yeah, Crystal's a great weapon to use through this stage. It helps you out with those rats that are just too small for you to hit with your Buster unless it's fully charged, which can be a real big pain. You don't want to miss a shot with it either because it's going to blow up and start flying around, and you got to wait. You got to wait till all those pieces go off screen before you can shoot another one.
So we'll see what kind of Charge Man fight kzez can come up with. He's switching to Power Stone, and he's not having a great job or a great time rather, of using this weapon. I don't think anyone really ever has a great time using this weapon against this boss, but it is possible to hit him multiple times per use without having to pause and get them off screen. But not quite getting that strategy down. Multiple pauses there, but all in all, the boss is dead, so he does not have to use Power Stone anymore.
Yep, that's the best part about finishing Charge Man. Nobody really cares for the boss that much. I know I don't, but at least it means I never have to use the Power Stone.
Also following suit, defeating his Robot Master, Stone Man is dead for Jonathan. Still maintaining this this steady pace behind his opponent, but he's running out of Mega Man games. Something needs to happen pretty soon for him to get back in here.
Yeah, at this point, he's mostly just hoping for kzez to just kind of slip up and make a mistake somewhere.
He's in Waveman stage. We've seen some soft blocks here. Wow, using the super arrows to stay on screen, and unfortunately not able to get the fast bubble cycle, so he's going to wait on this other one. But good improvisation from him. Putting the 2 arrows down like he's going to do this, the boat skip, does not go for it. That is the opportunity to soft block here. And I think it's smart to not go for it. It barely saves any time if you get it.
Yeah, especially he probably knows that he's got about a stage of a lead right now. So he's, if you know that, you might as well just say, hey, this half a second doesn't mean anything to me. Let me just make sure I get it done.
Jonathan making his way through Charge Man stage, taking a damage boost off his enemy. kzez opted to shoot his buster at it from far away and keep his health high. Jonathan had tons of health anyway, so he's pretty comfortable going in. We'll see what kind of Charge Man fight he can come up with. Hitting him once and instantly going for the pauses, not trying for any double hits.
Oh, he would have had it there too. He didn't turn red and shoot his little fire stones out of. I don't know what those are.
I don't know what Charge Man's doing.
But yeah, he didn't shoot those. He gave him the charge, which was nice. But he just missed that last hit.
Yeah, so not a much better fight. Well, no, not a better fight than kzez. That was an opportunity to make up some of this ground. I think he's still in a position where if he were to just play really solid, I think he still has a chance to get back in this. But he needs to start hitting those opportunities like that. And the more he misses, the more the odds of him coming back through execution alone are decreasing. They're already fairly slim. So kzez has finished with Mega Man 5. He is moving on to the finale. He is starting with Windman. This is a very common starting point in the tournament. Typically just come out here with the Buster, even when you've got other things at your disposal. These fans in Windman stage are kind of scary. As you saw there, he stepped out onto it a little early. And then he got caught floating up and down in a way he really did not want to be. So he opted to go back to the platform, sort of reorient himself, and continue on, rather than try to work with what he had and end up in a pit. I saw a restreamer taking a pizza break. I myself opted for pizza today. Did you know, at least in Canada, it's half-price pizza when you order Domino's online?
Oh.
Ends today.
We had.
I thought you were
last
saying
week.
you got pizza, sir.
Hey, Domino's ain't that bad for what it is.
I love it for what it is.
Yeah.
I would love to organize a Domino's sponsorship for the Speed Gaming channel. Domino's, if you're watching, call me. In the meantime, we'll watch some Mega Man. We got the long boat section here, which is not too fun to watch. What is fun to watch is this Windman fight that kzez is dealing with. He's sliding a lot, not just to dodge those wind attacks, though that helps. He is actually doing that to charge his Buster a little bit faster. A weird quirk of Mega Man 6. Pretty solid fight there from him overall.
Yeah, one man not too bad. Just got to worry about him sucking you in, and then those little gyro blades he shoots out, just jumping over those.
Got a dive man fight from Jonathan. He's got plenty of health, so he's able to trade hits. No problem for him as he also moves on to Mega Man 6. And he's pretty much one stage back here as that loading bar fills up. Can be a little bit excruciating in a close race, waiting for ROMs to load. Especially if you're playing on an actual cart. We've seen players have to pull their game out and blow on it or whatever they have to do to make it work because the connectors were not lining up. Mega Man's face on the title screen was comprised entirely of numbers. He's also going to Wind Man. The other popular starting choice is the level that kzez is in now, Flame Man stage. He's doing a good job of moving quickly, unable to jump out of slides in Mega Man 6. So if you want to cut your slide short, you're going to have to tap left, turn around just a little bit, and then keep moving again. It makes it really hard to sort of stay flowing forwards in that situation, but that's what you got to do if you want to make the most of your slides in Mega Man 6, and he's doing a great job of that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for Jonathan right now is to just keep it going. You know, don't worry too much about where kzez is. Just keep playing, you know, as well as he has been, and that's what's gonna help you out here. You know, we're gonna need kzez to make a mistake if you know, we want this race to turn around. But as long as he keeps playing well, he still gives himself the opportunity to come back.
That's right. Put the pressure on the opponent
Mm-hmm.
to execute solidly. Best thing you can do in this situation, because if you push yourself trying to gain seconds here and there, even if you succeed on pretty much all of them, the chance of you overcoming this gap is really slim. All you're going to do is really increase the chances that you die and you blow it, and then you have no chance of getting back in. So I agree with you in this situation. Just stick to your guns and do what you always do.
Yeah, because kzez is the one who sees, okay, he's only a stage behind me, so he's probably feeling a little bit of pressure, saying, okay, I gotta stay true and just keep going, you know.
We'll see if he can. He's wrapped up Flame Man. No problems from him. Had a moment where he got knocked into some oil that was lit on fire. It becomes a one-hit kill spike sort of situation when that happens. But he had the invincibility frames, and rather than jump out, he just slid right on top of the fire all the way to the boss door. So he's looking pretty cool. You know, not frazzled at all, or so it seems. Despite how close these guys are this late into the race, that's going to serve him well.
Both races are going to put up, you know, a really nice time, even though one of them has to lose. You know, just looking at it, they both are on pace for some sub 2s, which is nice.
That is nice. It's pretty darn nice, actually.
Yeah, that's a nice point to look at and go, okay, sub 2, you know, you're doing okay. You're doing something right.
I'm going to glance at the leaderboards, because I don't think these players are really on my radar in terms of 46 Robot Masters.
Just looking at Jonathan, you know, kzez doesn't have splits open, but Jonathan has his, and he's minus 8 minutes from the end of Mega Man 5, so, you know, with a PB 207, he's going to be, you know, that's sub 2 right there. Yeah.
This is one of those situations where a runner has put a lot of time into practice and developing their skills, but not a lot of time into actually playing out runs to get a PB. So you end up with a situation where their best time is not really a great indication of where they're actually at skill-wise. So he's a bit of a more of a threat than he appears, basically, is what I'm saying about Jonathan. Whereas kzez, my bad, he's 12th on the leaderboard for 46 Robot Masters. Totally missed that. 12th is a pretty good time. Yeah. So his time is actually a 154. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, this is he's actually capable of a little bit better here than we're seeing.
Yeah, 154. That's no joke.
Yeah, but I would look to kzez to advance to the next round, and that makes it all the more impressive and all the more exciting that Jonathan is this close to him this late in the race.
Yeah. Yeah, 154. That can that'll advance you into the single elimination bracket, and maybe even a few spots forward in there.
So kzez is coming up to the second half of Plant Man stage here. This is a horrible, horrible section. It lags. The springs give you very limited control. The hitboxes on the springs are deceiving. You got the pits. You got the fish that come out of the pits. You got the floating platforms. And you either have to switch to the buster to open them up, which wastes time, or you just go and jump off of them. And that means you've got very, very small windows to jump off them. He is going to switch to the buster here and play it safe, which is, I think, the right call. In this situation, you've got these flowers that have the health refills that hold you up a little bit if you're not full on health. The turrets are on the springs and bouncing. There's beetles flying. It's a horrible, horrible section. It's just a collection of horrible things that make an even more horrible thing together. He navigates all of it very, very well.
Yeah, he did a really good job getting through that section. It's very nice.
Earlier, we had the pleasure of watching Papat Dot, record holder in Mega Man 6, go through that section, and he makes it look like butter. Not actual, there's a trick in the game called butter, actually, but not that. He slipped through everything, no problem. Did not even know it was possible in that section. And so kzez, not quite that smooth, but I mean, he did not really get held up anywhere. It was just rough edges here and there. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, just briefly slowing down to shoot a turret, not stopping on each spring to make sure he's got his bounces right to go. So yeah, very, very well done there.
Blizzard Bane is down. For Jonathan, gets a very favorable pattern. I don't think he got any charges.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, and here comes my favorite stage in the 46 Robot Masters. I simply love Tomahawk Man.
I've seen players have favorite stages all over the place, and I'm always curious to hear why their favorite stage is what it is.
Oh man, so Tomahawk Man, if I could go into it just briefly.
Sure.
I really do. I love the way it looks. Those cowboy robots are really cute. The music in it. This is probably one of the, for me, one of the best songs in the NES Mega Mans. And this screen right here, he's on it. If we're on the same screen with the sun in the background setting, man, it's just such a cool looking screen.
The classic. The stages in Mega Man 6 are sort of all culturally themed. The Robot Masters are all from different places of the world. And so you get this sort of North American spaghetti western kind of thing going on in this stage, and that sunset is absolutely appropriate for that.
Yeah, and it looks, oh man, they did such a good job making that look as good as they did.
Someone pointed this out when I was commentating with them earlier, but they noted the color in Mega Man 6. More so than the other Mega Mans, their use of color in this game is particularly striking. They're not afraid to go with completely different palettes on the same screen, even just so you can see this bright orange and bright blue contrasting with each other in Tomahawk Man stage here. And there's a lot of uses like this. In Windman stage, there's this purple pillar right in the middle of the stage, and nothing else is like that. So they really went all out with color palettes in this game. It makes it stand out. I like it a lot.
Yeah, you could tell this was, I'm not even sure when Mega Man 6 came out. I remember getting it for a birthday, but, it was pretty
really
late.
Mm-hmm.
So Capcom really did a good job of, optimizing what they could do on the NES, especially when you look back from a game like Mega Man 1, and some of the backgrounds were pretty just, they were just kind of there, and now you got so much detail going into some of these backgrounds.
Has it been this close the entire race? Asks Mr. Callisto. It has. It's been a little closer even. Things opened up a little bit after Mega Man 3, I guess, and then a little bit more after 4. But they've been about a stage apart from each other ever since Mega Man 2, and before that they were very, very close. This has been one of the most interesting races so far.
Yeah, it's definitely the closest race I've had the pleasure to commentate, so this is really fun. I'm not saying much because my eyes are kind of glued to the two screens, Because
if something happens, it decides the race at this point, right? If kzez dies in a bad spot, suddenly they're neck and neck. And likewise, if something bad happens to Jonathan at this point, he probably has no chance anymore to get back in it. So any mishap from these players can be a race deciding event. So things are pretty tense here.
Very, very awesome to see. One player leave a stage, and the next one, then kzez leaves the stage, and then Jonathan's in there pretty soon after.
First up, we got Yamato Man fight here. Taking full hits, but he's got plenty of health, so this is not going to be a race deciding fight. Pretty textbook Yamato Man fight. Got an extra life from Eddie for Jonathan. Does not want it. He slides through Tomahawk Man stage.
And Knight and Centaur, there's 2 stages that kzez have left. Actually have a lot of places for you to land on some spikes. So we're gonna see. He's gonna have to, really take a deep breath and just keep going to finish this out.
Yeah, I agree. Nightman stage. I mean, we're at the end of this whole marathon of games. It's been almost 2 hours at this point. And these are 2 stages where you don't want to sleep on. Right away, you've got this spike ceiling that is, honestly, it's not too bad to manage this pause. Or I guess I thought he would have had to take a hit there, but he's fine. A lot of players like to time a pause there such that they avoid the ceiling while the menu is coming down or going away. And it's not that hard to execute on, but those spikes just look so menacing. Whoa, low on health. Don't die. E-tank. Okay.
Very clutch pause there.
And he would have been fine. See? He should have known. Every single time up to this point, he's managed to clutch it out. He should have known he was not going to take another hit from Tomahawk Man.
That's the rule of the E-tank in these Mega Man games. If you use your E-tank, you're not getting hit. If you don't use it, you're dead. Start the fight over again.
Well, of those 2 situations, I suppose he has the more favorable one here. So he is not dead. He's chasing his opponent into Yamato Man stage here, though kzez is pretty far into Nightman stage at this point. The spikes are gone. It's just pretty much the spikes in Centaur Man stage that are left as the sticking point.
Really smart to use that E-tank because, taking a few seconds to use that's not going to hurt him as much as dying to Tomahawk Man would.
Yeah, if he dies there, the race is over, hands down.
Because you only have enough plant to kill Tomahawk Man exactly. So anything you use before you die, that's Buster.
Yep. And Tomahawk Man does a lot of damage. If you're not familiar with the spacing on his particularly his feather attacks, you can find yourself eating a whole lot of damage.
And that's the thing, you got to be so close to him to use that melee plant weapon.
So Nightman is dead. kzez is moving on to Centaur Man, the 46th stage of the 46 Robot Masters. And right away he takes a hit. Could this be a sign of bad things to come? Or is it a complete non-factor and he's got this in the bag? We'll find out in about 1.5 minutes. Using Plant Barrier for this early section to protect himself from these falling missiles and various enemies. Solid strat. I like it.
Whew.
Another clutch fight from Jonathan, finishing with 3 health.
And what a way there for kzez to just run through that spike section, no problem.
Just gotta worry about this rising and falling water ceiling situation. Makes that the big jump cleanly.
Yeah, I thought he went a little bit too late with that water overhead, but still made it very nice.
He's at half health. If Eddie put out a health refill or an E-tank, I wouldn't have been surprised if he would slide back and grab it. Then again, his time on the leaderboard of 154.17, he's fixing to beat that. Oh, but not anymore, not with the death. Well, I don't know. Maybe even with the death, honestly.
Yeah, you probably still get that 54. That's a bad place to take a death there, because where that checkpoint is, he's very close to the end of the stage. Won't be quite enough for Jonathan to make that comeback, but it will, decrease the time between them pretty significantly.
Yeah, it'll take a game over, I think. And I'm pretty sure he's doing quite well on lives.
Yeah, not dying, so he has at least 2 more.
Then again, maybe he's thinking about it. Well, he's in chat. LOL, almost deathless. So he's probably not too rattled, I guess. He seems to have a good sense of humor about the whole thing.
That is one heck of a place to lose the deathless run, is the last stage.
Maybe that got to him a little bit. Maybe he was thinking, oh man, I'm going to beat my PP and I'm going to deathless run. It's going to be great. And then that small lapse in concentration cost him. However, it does not cost him a new PB of 153.09. And it does not cost him the win in this, the closest of races so far, I think. Congrats to kzez. Very strong performance.
Yeah, very, very well done. Way to just go for it and do it. So now we got all eyes here. Come on over to Jonathan. See if we can get that PB. See if we can break that 2-hour mark, which I'm sure he'll do.
He was 10 minutes ahead as of the halfway point of Mega Man 6.
That's
and
gotta
his
feel
splits
good.
Yeah, his splits are like a 207.53. So he's got 2 minutes to play with, basically. Coming into the start of Centaur Man stage at the 154 mark, he's fixing to come in well under 2 hours.
Yeah, and hey, you take a loss, but looking at your splits going, this is gonna. That's a run he could put on the leaderboard. This is a run he should put on the leaderboard. So
I hope
it's
so.
gotta feel pretty good.
Not many people have their leaderboard commentated with 400 people watching.
Right?
He should now. That'll be a real treat. So he should. Whoa! And saving himself there.
Yeah, he pulled back. That was very good reactions to get himself back to that platform.
That's probably rattled him a little bit, though. If it were me, I'd be just a little bit rattled.
I definitely would have been making some loud noises.
All right, yeah, waiting as long as he needs to clear that big jump. We got kzez showing us some super arrow shenanigans.
Alright, getting by those submarines. Those guys can be a real big pain. Just knocking you right back into the water, into the holes.
Yeah, actually using the night mace there to curl it back around and hit the submarine as it fell on top of him. Nice little swag strat there that may or may not have been completely accidental. Gonna go ahead and take a hit from this octopus enemy. He's pretty low on life.
Yeah, he's
Last
gonna have
thing he
to.
wants is a death at the end of what is absolutely going to be a new PB for him. So we'll see if he can keep it together. Nightman is or Centaur Man rather, pretty. If he gives you the flash, then you're kind of screwed sometimes. So we'll see what he can do. There is the flash. We'll see if he can dodge the shot. He does. You want to keep either him or you in iframes in order to dodge the flash. Then again, he only has so much health, so he can't take so many hits to give himself iframes. Doesn't need them though. Gets Nightman down. Finishes minus 1134 on his splits.
That is one hell of a PB.
Massive new personal best of 156.20. jonathanxspidewebia has got to be thrilled to come up with such a big time in a race setting. Congratulations to him.
What a great race by both runners too. Like finishing, would they finish? Just 3 minutes winning each other?
Let's do some math. Let's go ahead and we had a 153.09 and a 156.20, so 3 minutes and 11 seconds apart.
Yeah, that's great. We've had a few matches on these during this tournament that have been, a half hour apart, an hour apart even. So to have a match like this 3 minutes apart, like that is awesome. That's a great show for us to talk about. And that's a great show for everybody to watch too. So really nice job.
Absolutely. So if you did indeed enjoy watching the Mega Man 46 Robot Masters tournament, we got good news. Although maybe not the not so good news is that up next is not Mega Man. Sorry.
Wait, what?
Mega Man will return, however, at 10:30 p.m. tonight on Speed Gaming. You're going to see some more 46 Robot Masters. But if you are a fan of speedruns in general, and if you're a fan of a little game called Super Metroid, you're going to want to stick around, because in 15 minutes, the Super Metroid Double Anti-Bingo tournament continues, and I think they're into the top 12 now, so the races are getting really close and really exciting. That's going to be the theme, I guess, going on from now after that last race. So I highly recommend that you guys stick around and check that out. I have been your commentator, Mythical 9. I've been joined by
Concakes. Sorry, I was checking that tournament just to let everybody know it was coming up. Because we got the 2 races coming up tonight.
Where is it? Concakes. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Concakes. And also thanks to Mr. Cat, who's also in there in the background and filling us in with the nitty-gritty details. He's there. I'm going to throw it over to him. Say hello.
I'm over here somewhere to say hello. I'm not sure I will, but I guess I'm already talking, so it's too late now.
Too
Hi,
late
everybody.
now.
It's too late to apologize.
He's been our restreamer. He's been pulling the knobs and twirling levers, and no, the other way around.
I've
Switch
mostly
those.
been pushing buttons, honestly.
Pushing buttons.
Googling
making
pictures of
stream
dominoes for no reason.
So thanks so much to him for helping us out. And thanks so much to you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy Super Metroid up next. Stick around.
And 2 matches later on both Speed Gaming and Speedruns Live. We got 2 matches tonight, 10 and 10:30, I believe. So keep it up. Get the multi-Twitch going so you can see all 4 runners. It's going to be great.